Hello again, and welcome to the series of texturing and shading. And before we start, I just want you to check what are your render settings, because when you render things, of course, you don't want to wait hours for your render tests. So be sure that your render settings are set here to the default values. So make sure that you have the same stuff here, and check in your Skydome Light that the samples are here at 2. That's fully enough. Of course, the pictures will be grainy, but for the testing, it's fully fine. And just for the final rendering, of course, you will adjust the values here and also the samples. But for the test rendering, we don't need more things. So we start today with, so the first part is rendering glass and metals. So we just have a look here. I added here already a glass to my window, and actually, if you forget how to do it, I'm just here into material attributes, so I just added a standard surface. The only thing I did here was I used a preset with glass and replace. That's it. Okay, and actually for the Coke bottle, I also do the same, but I have to be careful because I have the label already here, but I can also just add a material just on faces. So I select all the faces, and with the Control key I deselect the label here and assign here my glass again. And I see that I have a liquid also here inside, and I just open up because it's a bit difficult to select. So I just have the Coke bottle and there's a liquid, and I assign here also a new material, our standard surface. I change also here the to glass. I change it to glass. You can also maybe use orange juice, but there or clear water. It has similar settings. Or when I take here clear water, for example, maybe the index of refraction is here better. And what I do to give it a color, or if you want to color a glass or water or whatever, then you will do this in the transmission color. So we will check here something brown and done. And before I have a look at the rendering, I also do here the drinking glass with actually the same, check out the same stuff, just for repetition. I add a new material, standard surface, and don't forget to rename your stuff regularly. Blue glass, and switch the preset to glass. You have to press enter, otherwise it won't work if you rename it first. And go again here to transmission, and if you want to, for example, kind of light blue colored glass, I will do that. So done. And now let's see in my rendering how it will look like. Maybe I just switch on here, go back, so Arnold, and check what it is doing. Well, doesn't look so bad. I will here just my coke is a little bit too black, so I'm going into my liquid again. Rename it here. Liquid, and adjust the color so that it's getting brighter. Yeah, it's getting better. And also here my blue glass, I also want to give it more white. It's still quite dark. Yeah, now it's getting better. So a really light blue is enough to give it a nice blue tinted look. Okay. Then for the cap, I just did the texture in the last tutorial, but of course maybe you change here the settings to brushed metal, and it keeps the color, but it just changes here the overall settings. But I think, let's see if something happens. Yes, but the brushed metal here is a little bit too dark for me, so I just brighten it up here. And also when you increase the roughness, it will also get a little bit brighter. And I actually do the same stuff here for the Coke can. So before we do here the material, I have to add a texture here, but not everywhere. And for that I just select here the face row, and with the arrow key I just grow my selection so that it's actually somewhere here, and check at the bottom that because a Coke can isn't textured here the very bottom, so I just switch. So here we go again, and I just deselect actually I just take that one. So then assign a new material. Name it Coke can, press enter, and then I change here actually immediately to brushed metal, and I add my, no, actually I should leave it because I don't see. So we have a can texture, and I think the problem with the brush metal, you can't see it here because of the brush metal settings, I guess. Yes, I just decrease here the metalness a little bit so I see what's going on here. Of course my my UV mapping is wrong, so I just remember what to do. I just do a basic cylindrical mapping, and it looks quite okay here. Check my UV editor, and the UV is okay, and actually I don't care about the top or the bottom because there is just brushed metal anyway, and there is no texture on it. So I just scale the whole stuff here that it fits into more or less into stuff here. And but what I don't like is that I have to change here to UV shell. No, not UV shell, UV. So select that stuff here, because I don't want my texture to go here inside, and also we have to take all of them. So that it fully fine fits in here. And what I do here on this material is, so here's the Coke can, and of course I put the Metal Nest 1 again, and I'm just changing here the color a little bit and see what happens to brighten it up a little bit. And I have to use actually the same settings here than for the top part. Just have a look at it and see what's my result. Doesn't look so bad, I think. So I just do it for the rest. So I just have to switch off here now, don't I? It's a little bit difficult, of course, here in the scene to select the stuff that I want, because I want here this row is selected, and I just shrink it. Maybe the shrinking was too much, because the faces here should also be selected. So, and switch here to my here again, and say again, assign new material. Just name it can metal or something. Presets, change to brushed metal, and change the settings here. I think it's always playing around, okay? And I think roughness I had 0.4. Of course, it looks a little bit different. Maybe I have to adjust it anyway to give it even more roughness. And I just render it out here in the normal view, so that I see what my stuff does here. Well, not so bad. I just immediately go to my lamp to show you even more metal stuff. I just keep the image here. And remember, we did some kind of brushed, also actually, to give it more brushed metal look, we added some texture here, and I just go, and you see here a kind of frame, because if you want to know which part actually is rendered, there is here an option under View, Camera Settings, and normally it's called No Gate, so you have the full view, but you don't know which part is rendered actually. And with it's called Resolution Gate. Now the resolution gate, which I defined here in the render settings when I said, okay, I want to render in this image size. Now I see that which part is rendered, and I sometimes like this to just see it. Okay, just switch back to No Gate and check my material attributes, and I have just the color. This is the brush metal. Change it actually again to the brushed metal settings and give it back a little bit of not too much metalness so that I see something. And what you also could do is, when you add here in the roughness or the color of the specularity, you could also change the look of your renderings or your metal. I'm just trying to see what it looks like here immediately. Well, it's way too glossy. I don't like that, so I immediately raise my roughness really hard. And what you can also do is, I will use this kind of texture I had in here and use it as a bump map. So if you want to give it even more structure, a little bit more roughness, then just scroll down here, and just for a little bit of explanation, yeah, it's much better. So here's what bump, normal, and displacement maps do, is actually they add roughness. You have a black and white image, and this is adding roughness to your structure. A normal map is actually such a colorful image, and when you download textures, then you often get them with it in a download and use them. They will increase the realism of your textures enormously. And the displacement map, you see here the complete geometry actually is changed with that, but I will explain in another tutorial where I do some special material stuff. So that's just for a short view, and I use actually a bump map here, actually the same brushed map because it's black and white actually. So I'm just adding the files, switch off here my live rendering, go here to, well, I'm not sure where I had it, brushed steel, and don't be confused by the TX files. Maya is generating them when you use that, so always be sure that you take JPEGs, PNGs, or TIFFs. So then I switch here to my bump depth, that it's not so deep. Oh, you see the result? It's even way too hard, so I just want a very tiny effect, even more tiny. Maybe I should render it in the view here. I can see it better because I'm not sure if the live render view is always updating everything that I do. I think the effect is still too hard, and I'll just try if, no, I can't decrease it anymore, so I'm not sure if I should use it here in this case. I could also adjust actually in the UV editor that it's so. Let's see what happens when I use it in a different direction and scale it. It's getting some kind of cooler look, but it's too rough anyway, and you see here I have a border. No, it's going away. Yeah, I have a border edge actually here. So it's your turn to just play around where could this brush seal could work. Here it's not perfect, or I have to adjust here my of course when I go further away it will look better. It depends on, of course, how close your objects are and what do you want, which effect do you want to achieve. Actually, you see from the, it doesn't look so bad. Switch off my rendering, and what I do here, I add here some other materials just to show. I will add here actually maybe not the brush material or the brushed metal or the chrome, for example. Let's see how this will look like. Of course, chrome is reflecting 100%, and I'm just getting into it to show what happens, or when you use here the preset of a gold, how does this look like, or even copper. You see just the color is adjusting a little bit, and of course what's also important are here is the roughness value. So if you want to blur out the effects here even more, or if you don't want this specular highlight not to be that high, that just decrease here that stuff. And if you want it more blurry, then just always increase the roughness. You see it's getting immediately actually a completely different color because it was maybe a little bit too much. But you can do this for everything you try here. So when I do it actually for the chrome material, also when I add some roughness in here, then I get actually some aluminium look, or whatever you want to achieve. Just play around with this stuff to get the look that you want. And if you want even more realistic metals, or if you don't want to play around so much, you can also check here on, there are different cool sites where you get textures and also shaders and materials. And when I, for example, search here for metals, you can find different actually shaders, or that you download yourself different materials. Of course, here we have some structure in it. What do we have here? Brushed metal. If you want to get your metal have a special look, then get yourself, you see, I guess I used one of these textures here. Just get yourself cool stuff that helps you to create cool metal materials. Well, that's it. That's the first thing I wanted to explain. I just have a rough rendering of the stuff I did here. So I just decided to give it more silver aluminum look, everything here. And you could also, with the color here, you can adjust the brightness or the, see here, the color of your metal stuff. And if you want something, whatever, green metal, then feel free to do it. I stick here to this light gray, very diffuse stuff, and now let's see how it looks like. Here we go, that's the final result. Of course I have to add here some more materials, but that's the most important stuff that you need to know about metals and glass.